Good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of Comfy Sunday. As always, I'm your host, RP. Joining me per the usual in the studio is my co-host, M3, and our very special guest, Scott from Woke Societies. This is going to be a good show, guys. I mean, not that they're not normally good, but especially good today. If you wouldn't mind, do me a favor. Don't forget to press that like button. Don't forget to share it on your favorite social media platform. Tell your friends and neighbors. If they were ever going to watch our show on YouTube, it's today. Today's the day. I want to say special thank you to all the mods in the chat. Thank you for keeping the chat comfy. Today is President Trump's birthday, so also a very, very happy birthday to real Donald Trump. Craig Mason, Red Pill's Warhawk, real Red Pill Mom, Leslie, Methods. Real Red Pill Girlfriend is driving at the moment, but I know she's listening. All right, gang. Please, everyone, do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. You know, a lot of folks have lost hope recently, and with the stock market returning minus 10% since the start of the year, for a lot of people it's looking dismal, but it doesn't have to be. Crazy as it sounds, gold has actually gained ground by around 15%. That's a 25% more bang for your buck. It's probably something you've never considered before. So, should you be investing in precious metals? Gold, silver, palladium, and platinum have proven to be safe haven investments. It's the only investment with appreciating value during an economic collapse. If you're interested in securing your wealth, call Noble Gold Investment today at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347, or visit the website at noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, that's noblegoldinvestments.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, welcome back. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. Please join me in welcoming our guest for the day, Scott from Woke Societies. Woke Societies, what's up, brother? Oh, you're muted. You got to unmute. It wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't be a show if at least one of us forgot to unmute the whole time. So, yes, my God. Welcome. Glad you're here,
What's going on, Red Pill family? How's everyone going? I'm so excited to be on here today.
Good. We're glad you're here. Methods, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome. I got my mic unmuted, so I'm ready to go. Yeah, everybody in the chat sing a lot of familiar names that we always have around, so I'm excited, man. Let's have some fun.
Yes, thank you. Jojo K, what's up, my friend? Glad you're here. All right, well, hey, Scott, I think the way we should open here is assuming that some people in the audience don't know who you are. For people who don't know you, please give us an introduction to you.
Sure, man. I became recently, I guess you could say, woke just about 2 years ago. And I had no intent. I was literally a Trump hater not even 2 years ago. I was sipping the Kool-Aid. I didn't give any craps about politics. I was never really into conspiracy theories. I wasn't into any of this stuff. I was your typical plugged in the matrix kind of dude, just going through life. And I had a lot of, we can get into a little bit as we go on the show, but I had some spiritual awakenings and pretty much woke up, and a lot of things happened in my life. And I decided to start a YouTube channel last May, with no intention of it going to where it's come now. And I was actually watching your channel.
Sweet.
And a bunch of others, literally not even over a year ago. I didn't even have a channel created. I was like, wow, these guys are really cool, man. I wonder if I could do something like this. And literally here we are. I just broke 50,000 subscribers before I got on with you.
Congrats.
And I plan on hitting 100,000 by the end of the year. So I'm a truther, Q guy. I do just cover the news, man. I just put my own spin on it, and I'm just here to get people back to, as far as patriots, getting people back to that patriotic spirit. And that's really what I'm here to do now. And I'm so happy and thankful that Methods invited me into his circle. And I've met all of you guys, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful, it's nice to have that tribe again, because as you guys probably all know, talking about this stuff and doing this stuff, it can separate you from your friends and family completely, and completely alienate you. And now that I found my tribe, I feel like I'm at home, man. And it's just still surreal to me that I'm even talking to you in Methods some days. It's crazy.
Well, just real quick to that point, and let the audience know how I met Scott was our buddy, our mutual friend, Severe Anon. You were having him on his show. I had noticed you started showing up around more on Twitter and like in my notifications. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to support Severe, check out this new channel, because Red Pill and I had always been talking about scouting other channels to then bring them on to the show that we had called Comfy Sunday that we were creating. So I was just like, all right, perfect time to go support Severe. And I absolutely loved how you carried yourself, and I loved how the show went. Shout out to Severe on that. He's a great interview. Anybody that runs a channel that's listening now, book him. He's a good conversation, and he'll talk about literally anything. But I just wanted to let you know that I listened and give you some support. And the next thing we know, you invited me onto your channel, which, thank you for that. Had a lot of fun chatting with you and you and our mutual buddy Doc. And just here we are, and we're just really glad we connected with you, man.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. I love this community because I just happened to come. I was looking for when I started doing my videos, I was looking for a Red Pill artist because I couldn't find any music that really described what we're into. And then I came across Severe Anon, and I was like, "Holy crap, man! This guy is really good. I love his style, his attitude." And like you said, I invited him onto my show, and literally, all I see on the chat was maybe towards the end of the show, I don't remember. Methods is here. Methods is here. Methods. Everyone was. I'm like, how the heck? Why is Methods watching my show right now? I was dumbfounded, and yeah, man, that's how we started talking. It was great.
You guys, I have to say, also a very special happy birthday to one of my mods, Red Pill's Warhawk. It is his birthday today as well. I knew that there was some other reason that I like this guy. Obviously, he shares a birthday with Donald Trump, so there's going to be some commonalities there. So happy birthday to you, brother. Glad that you're here. Glad that you could take some time out of your special day to go ahead and hang out with us. I need to say thank you to Craig, who sent me a donation last night because of the show with Praying Medic. I appreciate that. If you guys didn't see it, I suggest you guys check it out. It was a great show. Virginia also, thank you for that. And then Catherine as well. Thank you, all three of you. So, Scott, what was it that woke you up? I mean, what was enough to wake you from your slumber and kind of give you a jolt?
Well, just to give you some background, when 9/11 happened, I was in 6th grade at middle school. I literally just started middle school, and being in New York and going through that event was completely surreal. And I know it affected obviously the entire country, but knowing that you were literally an hour away from this destruction that was taking place, knowing that this bridge that I'd literally drive across from to go to school, the planes actually flew over this bridge the morning before. And just before, when that happened, I felt like the 90s was a great era for like patriotism. I still felt like everyone was like, America's the best, there was just a high level of patriotism. And then when 9/11 happened, I was always baffled by how did this happen? How did this great country allow this to happen? So that was always on the back of my head. And as I was growing up, I kind of just put it on the back burner. And just to fast forward, as far as what exactly woke me up, I started to see the bombardment of the mainstream media. I hated Trump. I thought he was a douchebag. I watched his show when he was on TV. And I thought, I'm like, that's pretty cool. But what makes this guy president? But what was surprising to me was seeing the absolute assault from mainstream media. And I'm like, how is there no other opinions besides this, what I'm seeing right now? And that alone was very troubling to me, that there was no opposing side into as far as what was on TV. And that's really what started my journey. And also my spiritual journey. I grew up in the church. I was raised in the church my entire life. And I started to see things happening in the church that I wasn't too fond of. And I started digging deep into the history of the church and all this other stuff. And I had, long story short, I had a spiritual awakening as well. And that all happened within the same couple of months. And yeah, that's how it started.
Good stuff. What's the deal with the Donald Trump mask or doll that you've got there in the back?
So this was from a Halloween party before I was woke, because I was sipping that Dem Kool-Aid for a long time. And it's one of those, you guys have probably seen it. That is something where you put your legs in and you look like Donald Trump is holding you on his shoulders. And I dressed up as Hillary Clinton. And of course the whole party loved it. And for me, I was trashing Trump, so I was good. So for me, that is just a memory. And something I just look at to remind me of where I've come from, for sure.
Right, because you have that unique perspective, and I know a lot of people that follow Red Pill and I, have been into some of this stuff for a while, and we've also been following our favorite Anon pretty much since the beginning, that we understand this world, post Trump being elected, like during this time, we've always been on the quote unquote this side of things. But you have a unique perspective because you were actually on the complete opposite side during this. And you are you are a Red Pill story because it happened during this. You started waking up and saying something's not right about this stuff. And that's why like Red Pill and I will always try to make the argument or point out that a lot of this stuff needed to happen over time for people like Scott here to wake up and see it for himself, because now you'll never go back to sleep and you found it on your own.
Absolutely, man. And that's the thing. Like when I turned 18, I mean, the first person I voted for, and it still bothers me to this day, I voted for Obama, man. I was all about having a black president. Even I was totally cool with it. I didn't really know anything about McCain. Like I said, I was raised in a Christian conservative household, so I was always told vote Republican. But what I was seeing from the Republican side really wasn't jiving with me. And I voted for Obama, and then he won. And then something subconsciously in my mind, as his presidency was going on, I felt like by the end of it, our country was I felt like we were gutted. Mm-hmm. Something was wrong, and something was chipping away at our principles, the words that we can't say, the politically correctness. I was seeing all this happen with my friends, and I was seeing my friends turn into people that I didn't even know who they were at some point. And I was like, what the hell is going on right now? And like I said, I started, as far as like the conspiracy part of it, I watched a documentary on Netflix called Loose Change. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It was surprisingly on Netflix. That something like that would never hit Netflix now. But when I saw that, that was kind of also the trigger as to, man, if this thing was any kind of a setup, man, we got some problems. And it kind of just, it blossomed from there. And then, like I said, seeing the mainstream media attack Trump the way he did, something wasn't right with it. So that's where it started for sure.
Well, also to be fair about McCain, I'm not so certain that the country would be all that different if John McCain would have won the presidency back then. It might have been more terrible in a different way. But,
right.
We weren't given much of a choice at that time. And I voted for Obama, too. I mean, like the second, when he ran for his second term, I voted for Ron Paul, wrote him in. And, at that time, there was really nothing that we were given in terms of choice either. And for me, when I first started approaching Donald Trump, I saw the same thing you saw. Everybody in the press absolutely hated him. And I said, there has got to be a reason why everybody hates him, because this is not normal. Obviously we'd had 8 years of adulation for Obama, everyone fawning over his every word, even though clearly he had done nothing to move the country forward and we had gone backwards. So it was pretty clear to me, too, that definitely Donald Trump has got to be the guy, because I knew that I couldn't trust the media. I knew that we couldn't trust the government, and I knew that we couldn't trust business. So I'm pretty happy that you saw that, too, man, because the world that we're moving towards is light years away from where we were. What do you have around you in your immediate vicinity? Has your awakening affected people in your life in a positive way?
Absolutely, man. So one of the guys in there right now, his name's the effing doctor. He's my barber. who gave me this fresh haircut, because literally 2 days ago on my recording, I looked absolutely terrible. I looked god awful. So I knew I had to get a haircut before the interview today. But his story is fantastic. I told him about our favorite anon literally, I don't know, probably right around this 2 months that I was looking into all the drops and stuff and researching. And I told him about it. And he calls me his Morpheus now. He calls me his Morpheus, which is really weird in a weird way, but I get what he means. But he owns a barbershop, and what he does is he plays your stuff, all these truther channels and woke societies, obviously. And when he sits people down in his chairs, he turns them around and faces the TV, and they watch these shows. They watch the data we're talking about. The counter narratives to everything, and literally, he's a really busy dude, especially with COVID taking down all of these businesses. He just recently opened up. So he is constantly just red pilling people all day long, showing them and just asking. And if they don't even like it, they're at least asking questions about it. It's not being forced. So that's just one story. But as far as like my immediate friends, my family is all about it. I've woken them all up. And as far as my close friends that I grew up with, not so much. But they haven't also trashed me on it either. So they're kind of in the middle about it. But one guy that I do want to give a shout out to, though, the guy that really helped me get this channel started, he's in the chat now. His name's Sean Allen, and he also goes by Thinking Anon on Twitter. He came across my channel when I had maybe 500 subscribers. And he just gave me a simple little tip about how my mouth wasn't lining up with the words in the videos. And I did this for like 2 months. And I'm like, why is nobody liking my videos? And I went back and watched it. I was like, oh my God, this is a problem. But if he never showed me that, I don't know what would have happened. But that's how our relationship started to blossom. And from there on and out, he was sending me articles. He got me into these Facebook groups that had all these anons in them, tens of thousands of people. And he headed a lot of those groups, and still to this day, he is sending me articles. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have gotten as far as I am today. So I know he's out there, and I just want to give him a huge shout out because he's become one of my really good friends. He's going to end up being a producer on the show at some point because he built this with me, and I don't let the numbers ever get to my head. I was never doing this for the numbers. I wanted to be at 1,000 subscribers by December. That was my goal. And I absolutely crushed it. And I never forget the people that helped me get here. And I always say we and not me or I, because we're all in this together, just like our favorite Anon says. And we're all a huge family, and we're going to do some damage. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds.
I totally agree with you on that. Now, Red Pill, I sent you a link real quick on Discord. Don't know if you saw it, but it is a clip of our friend Doc. I just call him Doc. Actually showing somebody a footage while getting their hair done, and just shout out to him because that's such a great idea. Just in general, you know, it's a moment. First off, they can't exactly walk away mid haircut, but past that, I mean, if you're nice about it and all those things, kind of like how Medic was talking about last night with you, Red Pill, about asking people in, you know, the ER and stuff, if they or in the ambulance, if they could pray for them. If you could pray for them. And if they said no, all right, cool. But you just take that moment, and then this guy here gets to listen to our, you know, the videos that you make and Scott makes, and sometimes shows that I'm on while they're doing this, and they're having this moment right here. So yeah, it's really cool to see it come this far, because before all this got started, Scott wasn't in this camp at all. He was against this camp, made fun of this camp. Yeah. Was probably really good at making fun of this camp. And you notice how all the smart people make it in our direction. But to me, it's just really, really cool to see it grow that way. I had the same kind of thing go on with me, Scott. When I got on Twitter, my goal was I want to do 10,000 tweets. When I hit 10,000 tweets, I want to have 10,000 followers. And when I hit 5,000 tweets, I had 15,000 followers. Wow. And I was just like, okay, all right. I still thought things, and I say this all the time, I still thought things were going to end a lot quicker than it has, and it's not even over. And I was just going to show up and help out a little bit, and then go back to my life. And then now this is our life. So, but you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it's just very, very cool to see what's going on.
Absolutely, man. And the thing is, like, I didn't even I was starting to have my spiritual awakening was the biggest thing for me. I walked away from the church, and I kind of had to have a reset. And for that, and I started meditating and praying and digging into history of things. And that's really what it started. But that's when I came across the boards, our favorite Anon's boards. I saw that the first time I saw that, you know who I'm talking about, our favorite Anon. The first time I saw that even mentioned was on Edge of Wonder. And I was like, then I heard Jordan Sather talking about it. Then I heard all these other people talking about it. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I went in and looked at it. And once I figured out what it was, I didn't believe it at all. I said, this is some anonymous board, man. How can this be possible? So I was already like on the side of Trump. But as far as our favorite Anon, I'm like, this is too much, man. I'm like, I already feel like I'm already like moving towards that conservative viewpoint with Trump. I'm like, that's already a further step for me. I don't know if I can do this. So literally I read every single drop from the beginning up until that point recently. And I studied it. I looked at all the proofs, and then, man, I was just sitting there stunned at what I was reading.
What was the main one? What was that moment? Do you remember? Like, what was the main part in that whole journey of going through the post and looking at the proofs that you're like, okay, I need to look at this more?
I don't really remember a particular post because there was so many of them. The amount of proofs was the amount of times and the coincidences, and when our favorite Anon kept saying, you know, how is this cannot be mathematically possible? Like, this has to be a real thing. That for me was enough to get me to go over the edge. And then and then from there, I wasn't even on Twitter, guys. I was on Facebook. I was completely blind. My news was what I saw on TV and Facebook feeds.
Hey, that's better than Reddit, but go ahead.
that's what I was getting. And then when I went over to Twitter, I found new methods. You were one of the first ones, and then it branched out from there. And I'm like, there's a whole community of people out here that I never knew even existed. And that's what sprouted out to the other YouTube channels. And I'm like, man. And I got so upset seeing where the world was going. And I'm like, I have to start something. I have to do something.
Cue Michael Jackson, You Are Not Alone. I need to say thank you to Gaffer Anon. Also, thank you to Eric. He said he tweeted YouTube about my demonetization. Unfortunately, they responded and said that the decision stands. So for the time being anyways, there's nothing we can do about that. So anybody that's supporting the show, I really appreciate it. Bavib in the chat asked if we could shout out their parents. Apparently, it's Mom's birthday, plus it is your parents' 45th wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary. Also, happy birthday to Mom. How many cool people do we have with this birthday? This is pretty awesome. We got a lot of people.
And 45 is the anniversary. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. 45, too. Wow. Very neat. Very neat. Love
Lots
it.
of birthdays today.
Yeah, good stuff, you guys. So do you have any specific, like, real life red pill stories, like you going out in the community besides like your buddy here, your barber, anybody out in the community that you've gone and spoken with without telling them you had a channel, something like that?
No, that has not happened. The only recent interaction that I live in New York. It's a completely different world over here. Mentioning this stuff, I mean, even if you even say that you even support Trump, it could literally start a fight.
Really?
Especially now with everything that's happened. But no, I haven't. My whole thing it was also the same thing when I was a Christian. My whole philosophy is, it's kind of like our favorite Anon's philosophy. Me having a conversation, I feel like it has to be shown to people. So I never push these views on anybody. And that's just in general in my entire life. I like for people to come to the realization themselves, because that was my story. If someone had came up to me and told me that, these are the boards, this is what's happening, you need to believe this is all linked to Trump, it probably would have just made me not want to listen to it even more.
Sure.
So I don't have a specific story as to me going out in public, but now that I have this, those days are probably going to be happening. Me going out, having more confidence, especially in talking about this stuff, because if you're going to talk about our favorite Anon's board and all this stuff, you have to know what you're talking about. You can't, because you'll get flat out.
What about your family? Your parents? You have a wife, something like that? Yes,
they're all on board. They're all on board. And I had I guess I have a really cool story. I guess as far as someone being red pill, just reminded me. I post on Facebook, and a lot of the boomers, they hang out on Facebook, right? Yeah. That's where they live. So,
there's everybody chill out. Everybody chill out.
Group hug it out in the chat, guys.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, no, this is just a chill conversation, guys. I love you all, but that's where a lot of them were, and I still post to my Facebook a lot of this information just personally, because I like I still have a personal close group of friends that I feel obligated to at least put the information out for them to see it. They don't have to believe it, but if they're seeing it, it's planting seeds. So that's what I was doing. And as the channel was progressing, my grandfather, he's almost 70 years old, and he called me, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? What's your channel? What's YouTube? What's this? What's your favorite anal? What is this?" And trying to explain that to him was challenging. It was very challenging, but the fact he was listening to it, and then I was able to show him just some really easy proofs to understand. And he's like, well, he's like, as long as this is helping Trump, he's like, I'm fully on board with this. He's like, and now he watches my show. And I'm hoping he gets on Twitter so he can see all these beautiful people that could literally be working for the government, in my opinion. All these guys that make these threads, that research, it's truly mind-blowing, the power that's behind our movement. And this is why we're seeing our movement attacked so much in the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. It's literally everywhere. And there's a reason for that. They are scared of this movement, and they know when November hits, everyone's going to get that reality check when Trump makes that another inauguration speech, and it's going to be epic.
Absolutely. What about the name? Do you ever get people giving you crap for using the name woke societies, like leftists upset that you're not a leftist, and conservative people upset that you're using woke?
Absolutely, man. I did that on purpose because a lot of my friends they would tell me how woke they are.
Right.
How woke they are, how intelligent they are, and all this. And then when I realized what was going on, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this word back. And I took the word woke because I was going to say awake societies. That just sounds really corny, right? So I wanted to take the word woke, and then I decided to add the word societies to it. And I didn't put society. I didn't put one society for a reason, because when I realized what this movement was about, seeing it wasn't just this country, seeing that people in Australia are watching, the UK, all the eyes are on the United States right now. And I'm like, well, this isn't just something for us. This has to include all races, all countries. So we're all in each different societies. We all have our own backgrounds. We all have our own red pill story. So I wanted to embody that and put woke societies and literally take that back from the left, because I absolutely despise I don't despise people, but I despise people that really don't research and think for themselves. So when I say the left, I really despise the left. Let me just throw it out there.
Right. I mean, and to that point too, like taking words back and stuff, because I'll see that happen on Twitter. And I mean, if people understood when it gets replied to me, I face palm and then delete something that's probably mean I shouldn't say, so I don't.
Yeah.
But it's the whole, hey, can we not use this word? Can we not do that? And it's like, why are we? I want to be like, well, can we not police each other and just let each other live? So I respect it, but like how we've talked about it before, and Red Pill was even hinting at it here, like you being new to this, you didn't understand that the Anon world, we would then call you woke, and we're literally calling you what you were picking on your friends saying that they were. So if anything, I get why you go by Scott. It makes it a lot easier. I wanted to make sure, and when I was introducing you to our friends, they're like, "Hey, what's up, woke?" and all this stuff, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to go ahead and just say it's Scott and help him out." But, no, but it is, and it's admirable, the fact that you're like, "All right, I don't mind taking it." I mean, that's a New York thing, I guess, tough skin type stuff. But I do want to bring up another. Ripple, do you have anything that you need to read off?
No. Well, I need to say thank you to Son of a Green Card. Appreciate you, Son of a Green Card.
All right, absolutely. And we've got 3,300 people here hanging out with us. It's really cool. 1.3 thousand likes. Turn that thumb blue for us. That'd be awesome. And thank you guys for hitting us up on PayPal. We can kind of use this, Scott and Ripple, as a segue into talking about other stuff. Mm-hmm. But Scott, and I didn't tell you I was going to bring this up on the show, but I'm sure you'll be fine with it. You just recently made the transition from having a job, or you're in the middle of doing that, of having a full-time job to completely doing your channel.
Yep.
And, first off, hats off to you on that. I remember when Red Pill was doing that, months ago, and him being like, should I not? And so it's all good with that. But you were telling me stories of why you were making that change. And I don't know if you want to go too far into the kind of work you were doing and all that stuff, but explain, because you're in New York while this stuff is going on, and what you were describing to me, what you were being told to do per your job and seeing was, it's a video game that you don't want to be the person in it. So go ahead and explain what you were going through there, and just go ahead and take it into the transition to being full-time live streaming.
For sure. So this entire time I was working 6 days a week, holidays, while doing this channel, while having a wife, while having a child. And it was just a lot. So when it's kind of messed up, because when COVID happened and I knew these lockdowns were coming, I was actually kind of excited for it, because I knew if I was going to be given the opportunity to be laid off, I've been literally working since I was 15 years old. I've never not had a job. So when COVID happened and the amount of time that I was working, I found out I was getting laid off, and then it ended up being like 2 months of time that I was going to have completely to myself. And I said to myself, I am never going to get this time back again, where I'm going to be literally getting paid unemployment and be able to survive on it while having total control and from full-time power to do my channel. So I told myself I'm going to go as hard as I possibly can until I have to go back to work. And I also told myself if I didn't get a call back by July, I was not going to go back. But I got the call, and as you guys know, you guys were doing the quarantine series, which is absolutely excellent. But we were all quarantined. I didn't leave maybe a 5-10 mile radius for almost 2 months. I can't bring my son anywhere. No one's open. Me wearing a mask was just me signaling that I'm okay with wearing this dog muzzle on my face. So I didn't want to go out. So I got the call to go back to work. I didn't know what I was walking into, really. The route that I had was, I do vending machines. I have the vending machine route. My old route was state prisons. I was in these max facility prisons. I saw some really terrible things there, but the money was good. I had a son, so I took the job. So the prisons were obviously closed due to COVID, so I was given a new route. So I ended up being in Westchester, and I got a little lost. Actually, I got really lost because I didn't know where I was. And going out, I was on the north part of the Bronx, and I was just driving around and seeing the carnage of what the protesters were, what we call them protesters, the rioters, the looters, seeing what in person, seeing that and being around that energy. It was super eye-opening. And I wasn't planning on deciding to make the channel a full-time thing. I wanted to pay off some debts, stay at work for a little while and grind it out and do the channel and all that stuff. And when I went back that second day, seeing the city, I saw some Antifa, I saw some Black Lives Matter walking around, and just being in that environment, seeing the carnage. Literally, guys, it looked like a war zone. It looked like a bomb was dropped in the middle of the city. And we're all on Twitter. We all know what's going on. We don't watch the news. And even the videos that we're seeing on Twitter did not compare to what I was seeing in the city. And it just hit me like a bomb. And I'm like, this is not a world that I want my son to be living in. This is not a country that I want my son, my friends, my family to be living in. And that right there did it for me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take the leap of faith. Me being out here doing this job is not serving my higher purpose. It's not helping people. It's not red pilling people. Right now is the time to be doing it. And where we are in our universe with our planet, there's so many different things going on right now that's signaling we're going to be going into a golden age very soon. And I want to be the spear of the tip for that. So as I told you, Methods, and it was a Thursday or something, that I was going to take the leap of faith and do this full time, fully knowing that I'm demonetized on YouTube. I didn't depend on YouTube anyways for the income. It's crap anyways, from what I was making, but I'm still taking the leap of faith. And I know I am backed by God. I know all you guys were all divinely backed by your creator to be doing this. So that's why I took the leap. And worst case scenario, I can always get another job, but until that happens, this is what I'm going to be doing going forward.
Good stuff, man.
At that moment, I'm going to be adding in your link to your channel now in the chat.
Sure.
Flood it. Everybody, make sure you subscribe. I mean, you can tell already in this conversation that we've had on why Red Pill and I, we connected with him. And I talk to Scott just about every day. He's very chill, very laid back. He gets it. I don't care that he's only been quote unquote red pill just a few years. I mean, you can tell that he's obviously wanting to look at things logically. He will research what he needs to. He also asks a lot of questions, and there's no dumb question in any of this.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I want people to realize. Like when they call me woke, I'm no guru. I'm talking to you, Method. I'm talking to all of our friends, and I still don't know everything. I had to swallow a huge red pill, which we don't have to talk about on this show because it's a little deep, but I'm still going through that process of accepting certain things that even I'm still trying to relearn. But that's the thing I want to tell everybody. Don't feel bad about asking questions. This stuff is deep. This is decades and centuries of embedded, just terrible things that these elite have done to us. And it's totally okay not to know everything. I'd rather not know everything, but it's totally okay to ask those questions for sure. No one knows everything.
For sure. I need to say thanks to Vicky.
You're muted, Red Pill.
Oh, I was muted for you guys, but not for the audience. So thank you, Vicky. I appreciate that. Also, if anybody doesn't get the link to Scott's stuff in the chat, I included his YouTube, his Twitter, his PayPal, and his personal website where you can get merchandise all in the description of the video. So show notes, if you will. Man. Yeah, right below. So that. Yeah, so don't feel like you have to, get it while it's going by quickly in the chat. You guys can, go there at any time, but definitely subscribe and, check them out and help them out if you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. So, you were talking about the destruction there in New York. What do you think about what's going on across the rest of the country? And I want to move specifically to Seattle, where we have a newly occupied piece of land by some colonial oppressors known as Antifa. They have taken a previously occupied piece of land from the indigenous people, and they have repurposed it for themselves, and they are acting as oppressors. It's an incredible irony I don't think any of them actually understand. But what do you think when you see that?
Well, isn't it funny that Antifa is completely against borders, police state? They're completely against that, and look what they turned into within a matter of a week.
Yep.
Borders, and literally, there was a guy that was he was a Christian or he was some religion. They found out, and they were choking this guy out on the sidewalk.
Right? They had him down on the ground, choking him just like Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, and it's just we already knew what was being hijacked. We've been following the post, obviously, but seeing what they turned that into, this was just the appetizer. This is a snapshot of where I think we would have been if Hillary had taken the office. Mm-hmm. It's not just Seattle. There, I think it was yesterday also Portland. They were trying to establish territory in Portland, and then they tried somewhere out here on the East Coast as well. This was planned. They wanted these little insurgencies planted in these cities. Because right now, nothing more would the mainstream media would love to see bodies on the streets right now. Mm-hmm. And you know who exactly they're going to blame for that. They're going to point this all at Trump to damage his image, and it's all going to be, that's what the whole point is. So it's just funny to me also to see the homeless guys just completely trolling these guys that live in the area. If I had the balls enough and the funds to go out to Seattle to dress up as a homeless guy with the camera for you guys, I would live stream inside Chaz for you guys if I knew I was going to get killed. But there's the videos that are coming out of this, and they're already imploding on each other. There was a guy screaming that his keys got stolen, his windshield got smashed, and he's like, "I thought you guys were supposed to police this." And everyone's just like yelling at each other, and I love seeing the chaos and them burn themselves. It's great.
Did you see the Reddit post about that particularly?
No,
they've moved their discussions and debates onto Reddit, which is a genius place for them to do it. And in there, they're saying I can't remember the exact words, but they're saying that it wasn't the stuff wasn't stolen. It was just I can't remember the exact word, but they're basically saying that it was going. It wasn't stolen. It was just meant for somebody else, basically.
Like repurposed, essentially.
Repurposed might have been one of the words that they used. But they explaining away of, and they said, black people have a lot of stuff stolen all the time, so you just need to get over it. It's part of your privilege. And they were explaining in a way, they said, be grateful you're a part of a movement to where things are being stolen from white people now. And I was dying. I thought it was a joke.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not.
There was another video that we saw. There was the guy saying every white person had to give every black person $10.
Right. Yeah.
And they said if they don't, then you're a problem. And that's it's absolutely. We're seeing what the far side left now. We're seeing what that looks like now. It's upsetting that it had to go this far, but this is why our favorite Anon keeps saying this had to be shown. It's destroying these cities, unfortunately. Seeing New York the way it was, I mean, I visit the city probably 3 or 4 times a year just to go to a baseball game or just go down to Manhattan to see all the stores. But that's all gone now. That's all gone. And we're seeing this movement now to defund the police across the country. And it's just disgusting to see how far the left is willing to go. Literally, this is why I was getting scared right when after Obama's term was ending, I was seeing this starting to happen. And I said, if Hillary wins, we're not going to have the United States anymore. It's going to be all out war at some point.
I totally agree with you there. Now, people in the chat were helping me out. T-Check said it was reallocated. Yeah, that was one of the words for reallocated, reappropriated, and involuntarily borrowed was another one that was great. Thank you, Copy Tech. That was the word that got me big time in that. And also to that point, as far as if Hillary was president during this time, she would already be holding her first rally for this season there in Chaz. You already know this. They would have been championing this to a T. And to your point earlier about they're doing this to damage Trump, well, to them it's a win-win because this is happening during Trump's America, and they just keep lying and saying it's his fault when he could shut it down in an hour if he really wanted to. But in turn, they want him to do that because then it feeds into that narrative of dictator Trump.
Yep. He's a warmonger, right?
Yep. Right. So they're putting him in this catch-22 situation, or they think they are. But I had it brought up to me earlier by our buddy White Hat, and a few other people had mentioned it to me. Like, we have to be doing surveillance on all this stuff. There has to be, seeing what they're doing, who are they connected with, where's this money going in and out of, who's helping them, and they've got to be getting a lot of information on this because this was the plan all along, right? I was watching a video from somebody on YouTube, I can't remember off the top of my head, and they were showing some of these Zoom conversations that these activist groups that are involved in all this stuff were having over the last few months. And not only are they completely brainwashed and they believe they're actually doing something good, but it was planned. It was very highly organized. And they were like, all right, you here, you're from this part of the U.S., go ahead and go to your group. And here's the Zoom link for that. You guys discuss your plans there, all that. But they would have the overall discussion on if there's violence and stuff like that happening, it furthers the cause, and so be it. And one of the leaders said they were cheering when they saw a certain building being burned. It might have been the Target or something. They were cheering it on at home, excited with their husband. That's why this infiltration, not invasion conversation is probably one of the best things our favorite Anon has brought up during this time, because it is that deep, because there is that much brainwashing going on different levels. And it's also compartmentalized. So they have these different factions of this wheel that they're turning that's creating all this on such a big level. And a lot of them, I might not even see the bigger picture. They're, useful idiots or pawns, whatever the case. We're using middle school kids and high school kids and some of the things that they're doing. It's that big of a takeover. And imagine Hillary having the keys to this.
Imagine her kneeling down, the image of that.
Right.
She'd be pandering.
Right. Oh, absolutely. But yeah, go ahead, Red Pill.
Oh, nothing. I just took my shoes off, and so I lowered my desk a little bit.
All right. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea of what they're trying to do here, it's obviously more about the spectacle of it happening for the talking point. It's a laser pointer to have all these things going on. It's also a test of things. I've also heard, what are they exactly planning behind the scenes there to do something even more dangerous? Because it does reinvigorate them, because they're somewhat getting away with it.
Yeah.
But there's got to be something planned for it on all this stuff.
Honestly, I think that this is going to spread throughout the country. I mean, it's funny that they tried to do it in Portland, but nobody had the resolve to actually finish it. So, within a 12-hour span, they gave up. They, let them take back the fence, and they decided to let the traffic through. But I can really see this popping up in other cities, other liberal strongholds throughout the country. And if they're able to do that, then, that we might have an actual problem on our hands. But, I mean, as of right now, with just these people here, I mean, like you said, the problems that they're having, they're already starting to eat each other. They are called the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, but they're anything but autonomous, okay? Even if they get these plants to grow on top of the cardboard that they've laid down, it's going to be a long time before they have food, which they're not going to be able to be self-sustaining. It is a comedy show as far as I'm concerned. Now, the people of Seattle, those are the people that I'm most worried about. Gafferanon in the chat said that what's funny is that the Capitol Hill area is actually the unofficial gay area of Seattle. So, in a manner of speaking, they have pushed out this, like, you know, this group of people that otherwise had, you know, a place to, like, go and hang out and stuff. What about the businesses that are located in that area? I mean, what about the people who have apartments? Okay, I heard a rumor the other day, I don't know if it's true because I haven't been able to verify it, that there was a child that died in the Chazistan, whatever you want to call it, and that their body was disposed of in a dumpster. You know, now it is terrible. It is terrible. And now, you know, the latest unrest is in Atlanta. So we had this guy who was drunk and fell asleep in the drive-thru at Wendy's, and the police showed up because he was drunk and passed out in a drive-thru. Totally normal. And then during the midst of the traffic stop, he stole one of the cops' tasers, ran away, turned around, and tried to shoot it at one of the cops. Yep. Brother got himself shot, you know? I mean, great way to get yourself shot. 100%. If you want to go ahead and get yourself shot by a cop, steal a taser, point it at him, and then, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. But they're framing it as if, you know, this young man was, you know, killed while sleeping in a drive-thru at Wendy's. And so you've got more people down there demonstrating over this incident. You have people set the Wendy's on fire. Now, this is going to kind of give all of these flagging demonstrations across the country in these various cities some renewed life. And, you know, I'm going to be looking very closely to see what happens in the next couple of days. Every single time we have an incident like this, and it fits their narrative to a point, I think that they're gonna try to use it. They're gonna try to, you know, use it to prop up whatever it is that they've got going on, and they can say, look, you know. But if we want to look at the statistics, you know, I mean, it's actually far more likely that you're going to be shot and killed by a police officer if you are somebody of another race, you know. And it just so happens that people of all races are shot and killed during interactions with police, because it doesn't matter what race you are. If you resist the officer who's trying to arrest you and you try to harm that officer, I'm sorry, but they're trained to go ahead and use their weapon. Now, obviously, sometimes deadly force is not warranted, but, you know, I mean, I defy anybody to tell, you know, us definitively what you would do in a situation like that, okay? Nobody knows until they are in that situation, and the majority of us are not cops. And certainly the people who are out there screaming the loudest about what's going on, they've never been police officers, and they're never going to be police officers. The closest thing they're going to be is holding an AR at the outskirts of the Chaz.
The outskirts of the Chaz. Well, it's funny, man, because when I went to college, I took criminal justice. I was going to be a cop. And the funny thing is, being in New York, all your college professors are ex-NYPD and ex-NYPD detectives. And I was just literally thinking the other day, if I had gone down that career path, it would have been, I think it would have been my 10th year on the force. And usually you end up starting in the NYPD because they're always hiring and the pay is really good. And where I was living, you could commute. And just hearing the stories from those guys from when they lived in the 70s and 80s, it's a tough job, man. It's really hard. And just like what you said, if anybody, even if it was a taser, if you're going to point anything at an officer, I mean, people have been shot for even if they're going for something, they got shot. The fact that he already had the taser out and was pointing it, what do you expect is going to happen? What is the cop supposed to do? Tell you to put it down?
Yeah,
it's just baffling.
It was too late, you know? I mean, like, he made his bed and he laid in it. And I'm sorry, it's unfortunate that somebody's no longer living. But, you know, I mean, like I said, the best way you can make sure that a cop's going to kill you is if you do something that's going to directly threaten the life of that police officer. Now, the entire body cam footage of the police officer has been released. Okay, and it shows that the police were very, very kind to him. Okay, they treated him like a gentleman from the very start, and clearly the only reason things went south is because this guy did this. Does anybody here, I'd like to get a vote in the chat. Give me a 1 if you think the release of this body cam footage is going to have an impact on the people who are out there demonstrating. Or give me a 2 if you think that it doesn't matter how at fault this guy was and it's not going to do a gosh darn thing. I think probably a 2. I think the most people are going to say a 2.
Well, I think that it's stoking the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
They're making sure the narrative keeps going on. Now, check your Discord.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to cover this or not tonight, Red Pill, but it's happened apparently while we were on this show. So just wanted you to have that heads up. But they need this narrative to be going on because they've taken it to a whole nother level. That chat is flying.
Yeah.
That's faster than even normal.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, everybody's voting. All right, so I'm just going to say that this looks suspect at the outset. Right now, we've had a report of 2 different African-American men in 2 separate investigations found hanging from trees in California. California is one of the most liberal states in the nation. I find it very suspect that these 2 guys were there. So one man was found hanging from a tree in Victorville, California, days after another man was found by the same fate in Palmdale. Looks like this is in San Bernardino County. One man was named Malcolm Hirsch. He's 31. This was near a homeless encampment. And then in Palmdale, it was 24-year-old Robert Fuller, which is an apparent suicide. Death investigations are being conducted in both instances. No indications at the scene suggest foul play. The cause and manner of death are pending. So, I mean, it's very possible that these could both be 2 instances of suicide. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, people, they end themselves on their own volition on a regular basis. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to reserve judgment. But unfortunately, I guarantee you, the Kamala Harris, the left, Cory Booker, these gentlemen's names are going to be on their lips by Monday morning.
And to that point, and the reason why I was sending it to you was there's a conversation that we always need to have or remind ourselves of, that especially channels like this one and Scott's channel and all the other great ones that we have in social media, is even though we can debunk quote unquote things all day or talk about how realistic it is, that's the narrative that they run with. And it becomes a pseudo reality, kind of like how Brian Stelter, that moron earlier, admitted on the news that we all just need to accept that we live in different realities. Mm-hmm. I can't believe he said it on the air, but then again, I can. But the idea of we have to look at things as what's the truth, and we try to expose it the best we can. I always suggest to people, if it's not really provable, even with a disclaimer at times, it doesn't help the situation all the time. But to each their own, do what you do with your platforms. But we have this narrative fight that's going on, and we have to accept that not like they're going to win with their narrative, but they're going to win, or they're going to get away with enough with it because they're just going to do it and lie about it and just keep going on with their day. So seeing headlines like that, just the headline alone, Red Pill.
Well, and that's the thing, that the way that they frame it, okay? One of them has already been determined to be a suicide. The other, the investigation is pending. They're looking into both because that's what they were going to do. But developing 2 different African-American men found hanging from trees in California, the implication is that they were lynched. Okay. Right. So without even giving any information, they've already flamed these flames of racial hatred here in America, and people are immediately going to be jumping on it. It's a disgusting thing. I mean, it is sad. It is just an awful thing anytime somebody dies. Okay. The last thing we need to be doing is taking someone's death and monetizing it or weaponizing it and using it for our own narratives. It's disgusting.
Well, just thinking about it, man. When was the last time you saw a story of 2 men in general, just men in general, or anybody hanging from trees in the mainstream media?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Do you guys remember of that being a headline of a story? But now all of a sudden, this is being spread like wildfire on top of what just happened at a Wendy's.
The last time I remember this is when that guy from Glee, who was about to go to prison for little kid stuff, was found hanging from a tree in a park, and that one was real suspect. But of course, they brushed it under the rug right away.
Right. I mean, but then Scott's making a great point here. Like, we're in the middle of a fabricated and fueled race war that obviously was taken too far. There's just too many, suspect things from beginning to end. Red Pill and I have talked about it a lot on shows throughout the week, and I'm sure Scott has on his show too. That headlines alone are the most reckless thing that the mainstream media is doing, and we like breaking 911. They get on things really quick. It gives us a heads up. It's not hard to verify a lot of it really quickly.
They're normally unbiased. When I see their headlines, that's why I like them. They just report what happened. This is loaded, though.
Right, and that's, to me, and I'm not going to then say, hey, everybody go after them. They're secret black hats. It's the world that we live in right now. I remember when Breaking 911 got hacked, and the dude was hilarious that was running it.
That was funny.
It was a lot of fun. But this is the world that we live in, that headlines are what people are most likely going to see and run with, and that's their talking point. They're going to look up to these people. Like, I know I mentioned it, but anybody who caught Brian Stelter talking to one of Trump's lawyers today on their show, I shared a little clip of it, but the entire 10-minute segment was just embarrassing and cringeworthy. And I watched it for everybody to find some kind of gold in it, because everybody was saying that she did so good against him. I wanted to have that out there and give her some support. But she would bring up logic. She would bring up, facts or like good questions. And to watch him snake around and spin it that quickly and be that proud while selling it, knowing he's on camera in front of however many thousands of people are watching his channel, and going in that direction, it's if anything, you understand thy enemy, right? But we see these things happen, and just how quick he was pivoting and taking things in that direction. And he obviously has a cesspool of people that he's involved in. Talking about the tribe that Scott brought up about being a part of a tribe, they have their own. And that's the kind of things that they're doing over there. It's absolutely sickening, and it should prove to anybody, especially if you are new, if you are the Scott of woke societies of tomorrow. You woke up from this episode tonight, and you're going to start doing something because Scott's story, took you there. Right. That's the kind of stuff that why we know we have to keep doing this. I didn't get into this and ever expect to talk. I did not want to do this at all. I know Scott wasn't involved in it. He wasn't even involved when all this started. But here we are. Red Pill alone, his story still blows my mind. That he's only been doing this channel for how long?
Since November of 2018.
And you broke 230,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And that's something. And we're not just all trying to pat each other on the back, but the point is that, one, that's a testament that people are hungering for the truth because they see what Scott did before he got fully red-pilled. And also, we need to counteract this stuff and just go after it. And that's why we will always use this show specifically, Comfy Sunday, to bring on people like Scott, to introduce you guys to him. Now Scott's going to do what he does. If he wants to go cover some crazy stuff that I'm not into tomorrow, so be it. I'm not his keeper. Yeah. But I respect him because I understand his heart and where he's trying to go with things. And there's plenty of them out there that are doing this. And that's why that's why Scott and I and Red Pill can say we're excited for the future, because we can see what's developing, and it's just going to get better, in my opinion.
For sure.
I need to real quick say thank you to Harrington, and then also thank you to Suzanne. Suzanne on PayPal, Harrington on Cash App. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. So the other big story that I wanted to ask you about, Scott, Prince Andrew has been requested to provide some questions and answers and some evidence in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. Now, I've had many people come after me for the way that I presented this story. I mean, there is a process by which normally the Department of Justice would request to speak to Prince Andrew. So they would make the formal request to Buckingham Palace, and then Buckingham Palace would forward it on to the Home Secretary, and then the Home Secretary and Buckingham Palace would work together to decide the terms of Andrew coming to speak. They tried that before. Prince Andrew had no interest in speaking to the feds. So now, Bill Barr, the Department of Justice, they have made a direct request through the mutual assistance program that is set up between the United States and the UK to ask for access to Prince Andrew. Now, he's got the opportunity to come in voluntarily. If he doesn't do it voluntarily, then they can compel him to come in and do it. Obviously, that didn't sit too well with Buckingham Palace. I want to know what you think. Do you think that this is going to have an effect? Do you think that we're going to get a chance to question Prince Andrew, or do you think that Bill Barr and the Justice Department are shooting in the dark with this?
This is tough, man, because I cover everything Epstein. Anything that drops at Epstein about Ghislaine Maxwell, I always make a section of it on my show, because everything that happened with Epstein, I believe, is literally the connection to literally the darkest, deepest things that people, even red pill people, might not even know that happened on that island. We don't have to go into that, as we all know, because we know there was caves under those islands, the clock dial. There was a lot of stuff that can be connected to a lot of bad things. But as far as Prince Andrew, man, I think this is going to get dragged out, only because I remember covering. He got one of the best extradition lawyers in the world, and I don't remember the name of this person, but whoever he was like the last person he was helping was like some terrible dictator out in Chile or something. And
Pinochet, I covered that. It was Pinochet's lawyer, yeah.
Right. The fact that Prince Andrew goes and gets this guy, it's like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? So, dude, I don't even know where Ghislaine Maxwell is right now. Do we know where Ghislaine Maxwell is? Why is she still out and about? Like, the fact that she's still not even, I don't know, being held for questioning, and the fact that she's even fighting the court still to this day out here in New York to not release those, what is it, like over 1 million documents or something. And the way that has to be, the way they normally go about it, it would take years for them to roll out these documents. So to be honest, man, I'm not getting my hopes high on Prince Andrew. Obviously he's guilty. He was there for a lot of this stuff. He knows probably a lot of the ins and outs of what happened. But until I really see something solid, man, because this has been, when did Epstein die? It was last summer?
Yeah,
that he
in
supposedly
June.
killed himself? Right.
Yeah.
And here we are coming up on another year of this. And we have, what have we gotten? We found out that the judge out in Florida that had access to some of these documents, he was in with Epstein too. So it's like, I feel like it's just going to get dragged out, man. And I mean, I hope to God this gets brought to the light, but I'm not holding my breath.
Right. And if anything, that should show you the intentions of what we're trying to do here in the U.S. with him. Bypass what's the least path of resistance to bring stuff up. And it's curious to me that he wants to be questioned as a witness and not, a suspect, if you will. So all that, and Scott's right. I mean, having this international conflict and having him questioned, especially with him being, connected to royalty and all that stuff. It's a different world over there. I'm not even going to act like I understand it. It's going to be difficult, but why would they be asking at all unless there's an intention about it? Mm-hmm. And who's to say that the honey badger don't care enough to put a bounty on him? Just like what he did with what was it, Venezuela?
Yes, with Venezuela, Maduro.
Yeah. So to me, I think that if there's enough evidence there, and you have to realize they did go and search his properties and stuff and got information, why would they spend those resources unless there was something they expected? Why would they then see all these things and then the prince gets brought up? There's a follow the bouncing ball here on there's going to be like, play nice. We're going to let you play nice. We're going to give you plenty of chances. But I think to me, there's got to be some kind of chess move to make him talk or to make him completely just go in hiding. Because why else? I mean, think about everything that's going on. You've got what's the other one, Harry? The one that's bailing with the chick actress from the U.S.
Yeah, Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Why did they bail on the being a part of all that stuff around the same time? You just kind of have to look at all these different pieces moving, and like once again, we said that's odd. So to me, there is a play there, but I will agree with Scott. It will be as many obstacles that they can throw in the way to stop that, even if they try to do the path of least resistance.
Well, just my 2 cents here, because they are using the terms of this mutual assistance program, if the British authorities refuse to comply with it, that's going to throw a lot of things into question. That would mean that the United States could pull out of whatever cooperation agreements they have with Britain. Obviously, this is a very important case. There's a lot riding on this. The U.S. Attorney in New York is out for blood. I love this guy in the SDNU, or Southern District of New York. Yeah, SDNY. I really like him. And I do believe that Bill Barr has something he has to prove in regards to this case. I mean, we had arguably the most important witness, criminal suspect in the history of the United States just, did not kill himself under his watch. So he's got something that he's got to answer for there. Now, what's funny to me is that Prince Andrew is saying that he doesn't want to be questioned as a suspect but as a witness. Obviously, he's implying his own guilt there, okay? But they don't have to question him as a suspect. I mean, they can question him as a witness and then tell him in the midst of his answers, well, we suspect that you're lying.
Yeah. So you're staying here, buddy.
Yeah. So, I think that he will be compelled to come and at least give some type of testimony, some type of questioning. Whether or not they are able to bring him to the United States to do that or not is another question. I think within Britain, most definitely, that's going to have to happen. I also think that there's a possibility here that the Queen, the royal family, might be forced to offer him up as a sacrificial lamb, so to speak, because I think from everything that we've known, everything that we've heard over the years, it's pretty obvious that Andrew is not the only one in the royal family with blood on his hands, okay? He's not the only person who's done some things that he needs to answer for. But if they allow Andrew to take the fall for everything to save the House of Windsor or whatever it is that they live now, then I think that's a distinct possibility. I would love to know your thoughts on that, you guys.
Yeah, man. My whole thing with Bill Barr, what you were saying before, I really feel like he has to prove himself with everything going on. Epstein supposedly killing himself, which we all know didn't happen, but this was something that I feel like this is personal to him, and he's got to figure this out. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it as far as what's for the future.
Right. I mean, when it comes to all these things, I know everybody wants to see action. You've been in this, 2 years now?
Yeah.
Scott, and you're already probably tired of people saying it's not going to happen or whatever, or it's taken too long. It is what it is on that, and I can agree. But as far as just the overall part of that, I was listening to Ron Johnson this morning, and I'm glad you brought that up in pre-show, Red Pill, because he did make a comment about how Durham is designed for indictments and judgment in that case. And it's coming down that road. Now, once again, we all have soul searching to do, especially Red Pill and I. If Durham comes back and says everything was cool, no big deal.
Yeah. I can't believe that's going to happen. I can't even imagine.
Right. But I mean, we'll admit it here and there just to, answer that point. But the guy's literally doing the job, and you're asking for the end product when he's still putting it together. But as far as this international stuff, take it step even further back and think about how much crime, perversion, sin, everything that has been so rampant. Just think about just the glimpses that we've gotten in these last few years, and think about how rampant it was, and everybody knew about it that was in power and was okay as long as they got paid off or something, or they were just involved in it. It's really that bad. And this is like that defining moment. I had somebody explain it on a video or something. I'd love to give credit. I just don't remember who it was, about how Trump and his team, and call it the plan, call it whatever you want. The plan was to actually follow the law that we all thought we were following and do it, and going down that road. So these investigations are occurring, and those take time, all these things. But if you implement the actual system of justice and judgment and the law, if you just implement it in the world full of sin and crimes being committed and everybody's okay with it, you implement it, you watch the world go crazy. And it literally is going crazy right now, and they're really upset that they're trying to even do that. And that should speak volumes to you, anyone listening. It should speak volumes of how much they attack, how Scott woke up seeing him. Why did they attack this Trump guy? When I literally watched him on Comedy Central a few years before, getting roasted, and everybody loved the guy.
He was beloved. He was absolutely beloved.
Right. Me and you were younger than people assumed we were when we got started. And we still remember that, how much the media loved Trump and all that stuff. Think about the Mika Brzezinski video clips of her basically swooning over Trump. They have that world there. And why flip on a dime unless you have something at stake and it's not just your job? The media could just be honest and say, since they say they're honest, if they're just going to be honest and then happen to cover things that they don't prefer, but they're still going to do their job, why do they have to take it that far when the overwhelming public is arguing with them? Because it's not like their side is really supporting them lying. If you notice in their comments, they comment about the topic, but they never really support the messenger. We support the messengers that we have. We love our Sarah Carters and our Solomons, and then especially all the digital soldiers that we have in this movement, really putting their work where they need to. We support them. Why are they not getting fully supported? And when we do ever see it, it's obvious bot accounts that are saying the same thing over and over with 5 followers. There is this apparatus of why are they so against Trump and Barr? Trump being the president, head of the military, head of decisions being made, has to pen the executive order. And why are they going after the head of justice so much? Ask yourself, and why does all those things happen? And then ask yourself, why does Hollywood back all this up? Like almost unanimously, like they completely support it, minus the few, and then they get canceled or whatever word you want to call it. Ask yourself how this is all can be, and then ask yourself, what if it's because they've been breaking the law and they're sinful and they don't care about any of this or you, and they don't want their system, their golden egg, to get destroyed. And when you ask yourself that and then look back at it again, if that red pill doesn't kick in for you, then I suggest you work harder, because we can see it. We've been looking at it for a while, but to the new person that's listening tonight or tomorrow or the next show we do, ask yourself the same questions that Scott asked when he got started. And then you'll be surprised. And then ask a friend here in this movement to help you understand.
Right. It was a very simple question. It was a very basic, logical observation. And that's why I tell people not to dig into the weeds so much with these quote unquote conspiracy theories. There is no more conspiracy theories anymore. A lot of the things that we believed were true, now that we're in our digital age, the worst thing they could have given to us, as far as the normal people in this country or in the world in general, was the internet and the phones. That was the worst thing they could have ever have done, because without the internet, without the streaming, these channels, this way of communicating, the way of communicating literally a message to somebody across the world within seconds, that for me, that was the game changer. If that never happened, just think about how we were in the 90s. We were just getting internet and talking on AOL Instant Messenger and MySpace, right? That's where, and it's completely progressed from there. But bringing up Hollywood and stuff, that was the other thing that I was seeing. Like, it was just one sector of the higher class after another backing up this narrative. And I'm like, where is this one person that it's just like, I don't know. I don't care what you guys say. I like the guy Trump. He's pretty cool. Not even something funny. Nothing. There was nothing. And to me, like I said before, that was the biggest flag. And I'm just like, how can you not see this? It's literally right in front of our faces. I don't know how people cannot see this right now.
Well, the thing about it is that all of them knew exactly what was going on. They knew that if President Trump was to become President Trump, their way of life was going to be forever altered. They were not going to be able to continue on doing these things that they had been getting away with for all these years. So they had to create this narrative to go against him because, they wanted to keep doing whatever it was they were doing. I mean, you can't put your hand in the cookie jar any longer if people are actually watching it, okay? The laws are there. They are meant to not be broken, and we are supposed to have a judicial system that goes after people and corrects them if they do break the law. Unfortunately, the bad guys have been in power for far too long, and they got their fingers into every single pie that possibly could have been, pilfered. So now President Trump is here, and it is more important than ever. You guys, I just donated to President Trump's campaign earlier today. And I know that not everybody is in a position to do that. And it, wasn't something that I necessarily could do, but I felt was necessary because this election that's coming up here in 2020 is even more important than the election in 2016. Okay, President Trump got into office, and I think that it's going to require his second term to really finalize the vision of his original campaign, okay? The idea of making America great again and moving us forward into this century. If somebody else comes into office right now, I guarantee you that everything that we've done to move ourselves forward is going to be erased, scaled back, completely undone, and I would hazard a guess and say that our lives may not be safe any longer if somebody else gets into power. Because you look and you see where the left has gone since President Trump came into office. They have just been radicalized more and more and more. And they talk about the right being radicalized. But honestly, the only thing that's happening on the right is people opening their eyes. Did you guys see this? My buddy Monty sent this over. Van Jones has dubbed the insurrections taking place across the country as, guess what? The Great Awakening. He's calling it the Great Awakening. Okay, trying to subvert our movement and screw it up. So you go and search the Great Awakening now. You're going to find these riots in Seattle and other places. Absolutely stunning.
At least he didn't call it a white lashing. So there's that. It gets that word out there because it's going to show up during all that stuff. Now, real quick, we got over 4,700 people here hanging out with us. 2.4 thousand likes. If you guys don't mind turning that thumb blue. And also thank you guys for hitting us up on PayPal and mods. Thank you for everything you do. And also, if you're real quick, drop the links for Scott real quick in the channel, and I'll do it as well.
I'll just go ahead, Rippo.
I was just going to say, I saw some people correcting you in the chat. Even before AOL and Instant Messenger and, the fledgling days of the internet, people my age, we were on ICQ and on bulletin boards. I was sneaking into the engineering building at the college near my town and using their T1 backbone there. Oh, my God, it was amazing. And
Sorry,
then at my
guys,
house...
I was a LimeWire and Kazaa guy. That was my.
Hey, I did too. Don't get me wrong. I even used Napster.
We just showed the decade difference in between me and Scott and Red Pill and the chat as well in that because I totally got the reference. It was good to me. But I get it. I get it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red Pill, I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying as far as this being the most important election. And this is why even when I'm talking to my audience and imploring anybody that has the inkling or the drive to start a podcast, start a channel, it doesn't matter what. Look how far our channels have come. And this, again, is not to prop up our channels. This is completely from a humble person going up against social media, which we know the deck is already stacked up against us. And look how much we're already doing with the shadow banning, the demonetization. They think that stuff is going to discourage us, but this is why I'm telling everybody, if you have that inkling to start a podcast, it doesn't matter. There is a community of people, and if you have the right intentions and you're just here to do God's work, we will help you grow. You're not on your own, and that's something that I can personally attest to because of the great friendship and the olive branch that you guys have given me. I never expected to be on this show. I never even expected to be talking to Methods, to be honest. I wasn't expecting any of this. But we're all one big community, and I just want to implore anybody that if they feel the need to start something, to, again, anything, just go and do it, and just know that this is the biggest election probably of our lives. And this is why I thought it was so important when our favorite Anon was saying, with that drop, talking about the Ronald Reagan quote, that we're just a generation away from losing our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And that cannot ring more true than now, because that's what I don't want people to think, that if Trump, we honestly all think Trump's going to win the re-election. No one can see Biden winning unless there's some massive cheating scandal going on. But even after that, things aren't just going to be the perfect fairyland world that we would love to have it be. It's not going to stop. And we have to keep thinking too. We're already talking about it off show, that we're already planning a world when our favorite Anon is not going to be dropping anymore. And honestly, when that time comes, hopefully we don't even need our favorite Anon. That's the end game, where we don't need these drops, and we're just going to know the truth. There's going to be no way to deceive us. But I don't want people to think, just because Trump gets reelected, this world's going to just snap back into place and we're just going to have, everything's going to be nice. That's not reality.
I totally agree with you. And somebody in the chat, Freedom Writer, says, my fiance wants to start a podcast. He is a chef, so cooking with our favorite Anon. What does anyone think? I love it. We had this conversation early on. Red Pill and I talked about it early on, and I even talked to others about how the movement, as it grows, is going to need to have its own culture. The Chaz world, not to compare the two, are definitely learning that they're going to need things that are obviously better gardeners, for example. But we're going to need that society created itself as far as having different platforms. That's why we created Comfy Sunday, a more casual conversation as compared to breaking down the news that a lot of people are doing, which is needed. But, having different channels doing different things and giving, the options and the break from, because I'll watch a live stream in a day and I love all 4 or 5 of them. They'll cover the same news that day. And I love them for it, but having also things like even cooking channels that happen to be somebody who's also, to use your name, woke, into this stuff and covering things and having that conversation. We need all of these things. It's a future. This is such an infancy movement. And how Scott brought up, we are a generation away. So Red Pill, myself, Scott, everybody, I'm going to try to name everybody else. We want to make sure it's not this one. We're not going to allow this generation, this time period, to be that one that completely sets it all off. But by all means, chase it, go after it. If you've got some time, have some fun with it. Make sure you enjoy what you do. It's motivated me. I'm going to be doing my own channel here real soon. We're going to go down this road, but we are going to need more and more of this happening. And that's why I'm excited to see channels like yourself, Scott, that's growing.
For sure.
LA Vogue says Q mukbang. I am not a fan of mukbang. I just want to say, it disgusts.
What the heck is mukbang?
I'll tell you. It disgusts me that channels like ours are demonetized, while mukbang channels are, propped up and fully monetized. They are people who eat an insane amount of food. Think ASMR with live animals. Okay, eating sea creatures and just gorging themselves on food. It's often they don't say much. It's just the noises. It's horrible. But there's a couple that are just really unsettling. People that.
There you go. The cook can do these shows. There you go. The guy that wanted to be a cook. There you got an idea. For sure.
There was something else. Somebody else in the chat said something else, and I lost it.
If you pay attention to the chat, you can literally forget that you're having a conversation on air with over almost 4,700 people.
Yeah,
because this chat's fantastic with it.
Okay. So, all right. I found it. John Howe. He said it a number of times, and I just want to say it before I forget again. He said, rumor mill, Insurrection Act announcement within 48 hours. Anyone hear anything about that? I haven't myself.
Nope.
I do know people in the federal government. No one has given us a tip on that. I would say in the last week, there have been quite a few rumors that have popped up, suggesting that something's going to happen, in 24 hours or tonight or something like that. Nothing's come true. So I would just say, always be on the ready. Be prepared, okay? Be ready to protect yourself if you need to. Be ready to comply if, somebody is going to come to your door. But know that if somebody does come to your door, I mean, as long as President Trump is in power, we're not the people they're looking for. They're looking for people who are going to be a danger to the republic.
I was told, I think 3 times in the last 2 weeks, that arrests were going to happen on that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that it was going to be a big thing, and be on lookout. My source is this, my source is that. And I'll be honest, I turned off my computer at like 9 o'clock my time that night, and slept like a baby because I knew it wasn't happening. Like, no offense to anybody out there sharing that, but when you have people saying those things, like if Red Pill came to me and said, I can't tell you who, but they're telling me arrests are going to be tonight, I might trust it a little bit more than random tweets on the internet. But I will also equally look forward to the where was that red pill joke in the morning when it doesn't happen, because there is that spread of information and all that. But let's go ahead and segue over to this, Scott. Where do you see things going in general when it comes to, okay, they've played the card, there obviously the second wave stuff's going to happen with the Kung Flu. Obviously some things are going to have to change with the Chaz thing and all that stuff going on, or they're going to keep pushing it. They're going to keep pushing the race stuff. But is there anything else that's not being discussed that is a card you can see being played, besides the alien invasion, by the election for them to feel like they can steal it?
I mean, as far as like in the next couple of months, I mean, I'm not sure, man. My thing is with these cities, how long has Chaz been around? For 2 weeks now? A week?
Yeah.
Look at all the arguing and the implosion going on already. I feel like the deep state, whatever you want to call them, they played their cards way too early, because look how fast COVID died. That whole narrative. I feel like this is going to happen with the riots as well. If I look at Project Veritas, if Project Veritas is able to infiltrate Antifa, I'm sure Trump and his team, they have people that are doing this already now. And I really believe that. I have no sauce for that. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm not sure, man. I don't know what else they can do. The thing that really kind of scared me recently, it kind of set me, maybe not scared, but maybe uneasy, was that one drop talking about most people are going to be upset about the how, and I forgot how it was worded, but look at the why and look at the when or something like that. But I can't remember the exact wording, but that literally scared me. And of course, my mind's programmed to think the worst case scenario. I'm thinking something's going to happen to POTUS and it's going to wake the world up. That's obviously not the plan, but that's where my mind went to when it said most people will not be okay with this. So I'm not sure if maybe our favorite Anon hasn't disclosed everything to the Anons and they know something big's coming that even we're not expecting, and they're just preparing us for that. I just don't know what exactly that is, but I don't know what else is going to happen as far as these people these Antifa groups are trying to gather together. But all I know is it's going to be a crazy. How many months till November? From now until November. It's
like 141 days.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, guys. That's a lot of time. You got to think that Trump's getting his rally started again. He's getting that Trump train started again. So this is literally good versus evil. And Trump's not wasting any time. He is going to, what was it, up to 800,000 requests for his Tulsa rally that he's got or something like that?
Yes, 800,000 people want to go.
That's incredible, when the record before was not even 200,000.
But just think about that, man. When I think it was maybe our favorite Anon said, we are the silent majority. Like him winning November, I feel like it's just going to be a giant red pill in general for most people.
I totally agree with you on that. And I'll just go ahead and ask the chat as well. Like, is there any card that you can see them trying to play that we haven't discussed, whether it's on this channel or just in the public in general in this movement, outside of obvious second wave of Kung Flu? I know we joke a lot about the alien invasion stuff, but come on. They've tried everything else. Imagine having aliens show up to help fight against the Republicans because they're that bad, and they're all Democrat.
Right. But look how much fear, man, we got just from COVID. You could literally replace alien invasion with COVID, and guess what? Everyone's on lockdowns and no one can work again, and nobody can see where these aliens are. It's just who knows?
No, I totally agree with you on that. And just to tie it off with the chat, if you guys got anything out there, meteors, volcano, their own chaos, giant chickens. That would be a fun timeline. Killer tomatoes, anybody? That would be fun. But it's to that point, mass Bigfoot attack, like as in more than one Bigfoot that we haven't seen yet, minus grainy footage. To me, if anything, this consensus here that we can all have is that they're going to keep trying stuff. They have to, because they are so full of garbage that they just have to keep adding on to it and making it even further. And we can see how organized this is, and it's ridiculous to us, but we are fighting for the minds of everybody that's not involved either way, hoping that they do vote, or at the very least understand that they're being lied to. So that's the direction that we're going with it. Robots, giant tarantula, mass FF, nuclear weapons. I have heard that conversation happen too, having to deal with South Korea and causing problems over there. I don't know, Ripple, what do you think?
It's kind of interesting with North and South Korea. Didn't North Korea just cut the diplomatic ties that they had established with South Korea?
It's something about the sister and her just going rogue. I haven't followed too much about it because, when you hear the mainstream media in America talk about what they're hearing from over there, I just immediately don't trust it. Because I've also caught Fox News saying, breaking news, we did this, and I literally watched Anons do it. So they're like, we broke it first year or whatever. I was like, no, it was on 8kun 4 days ago. But go ahead and do your breaking story. So, but yeah, go ahead, Ripple.
No, that's it. That's all I had. People keep saying stuff to me in the chat, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I'm paying attention to. The only thing that I really think that they have to do would either be like a dirty bomb or some type of rogue nuke, or perhaps the alien invasion. I mean, those are the only ones that we haven't had. I think we nearly got the rogue nuke in Hawaii. Clearly, we had that missile launched from Whidbey against Air Force One. They've tried so many times to assassinate him. The only thing that they would have left would be, to do a fake alien invasion. I mean, I truly believe that. I mean, that's on the table. That's on the table for me.
Well, there's a good point out here. Sorry to cut you off, Scott, but there's a good point out here. Midge Hendricks says, yes, hacking the grids and all else. So we're talking about an actual event like that. Now, imagine how mail-in voting would be a thing if the grids are hacked and electronics go down. That would be an interesting thought.
Donald Trump actually, in the last month or so, he signed an executive order designed to safeguard our electrical grid. Obviously, we've talked for a while about how insecure they are. I mean, you basically just got a fenced-in area with all the transformers and all the lines coming in and going out. Pretty easy to go ahead and just plant a couple of booms there, and then have that happen in a couple areas across the country, and then everything goes down. Nobody has power. But besides that, we've got major portions of the electrical grid owned and operated by Chinese companies and stuff. So that was in regards to what he signed the executive order for, trying to bring all that stuff back into American hands so that we could control it, and the likelihood of it going down would be a lot less. I also think that they have had EMP. Casey Anon says EMP. That is definitely on the table. I feel like an EMP is almost more likely than a nuclear weapon. But here's the thing. If they do the EMP, then they can't communicate directly with their sheep. At least with a nuclear weapon, maybe, we don't have New York City anymore, but they can still pump out their propaganda to everybody across the country. Now, if they did an EMP, everybody would basically be in their homes, and think about how many people would come out, and we'd be like, I told you. And then our message would get out.
Yeah, I have seen Godzilla in there multiple times. That is a crazy storyline. I'm all for you. The whole ties back to who Godzilla. Okay, I love it. But Scott, what do you think?
Great. No, I was just thinking, and probably my thing would be, I honestly, everyone know I'm going to be doing a dig on Project Bluebeam, which is the fake alien invasion. I think that's going to be saved for when Trump is in his glory in his second term, and he's just completely cleaning house, cleaning up laws, just completely getting rid of the deep state. I feel like it's going to have to be at the worst point for the deep state for that to happen. I do believe that can happen, because why not? if we're already afraid of this virus, why wouldn't they just throw that in there? But that's my own opinion. But as far as to what happened now, just another idea, I feel like taking out the internet or a blackout of the internet would be a huge event, especially for us, because they know we live, the Anons live on the boards, all these channels, Twitter, everything. They have ways of keeping the internet up for themselves, I'm pretty sure, but taking it out of the public in general, I think that would definitely do some damage and cause problems for us.
Right, yeah, because it's doing more harm than good for them right now. Even having all these propaganda pieces happening with, the race war stuff and everything that we've been discussing in the show tonight, it would do them actually better taking it down to where we can't do the work that we've been doing. And I say we as the collective MAGA movement in general, not just our favorite Anon, everybody follows that, just everything Trump related. Even if they can shut Trump's, his Twitter down alone and get away with it being justified, as in, grid went down, as compared to, because think about how quickly they just added disclaimers to Trump's tweets, and we all raised hell. And imagine though if they're like, oh well, the power went down, here is what it is, blame North Korea or something that. To me would be the cowardly way they would be planning on going about stuff.
For sure. And I think that's probably the most reasonable way for them to go as far as a last ditch effort. Just shut down the comms. If they can't speak, then they can't hurt us anymore. We can at least temporarily stop it. So I agree.
Right.
You guys, I don't know if you are watching the stream so that you can see the chat, but one of the viewers of the show did this, I guess, pencil drawing of President Trump for his birthday, and I told him that I would go ahead and show it
that is
on the
awesome.
air today. Yeah,
isn't that awesome? Really, really good.
Very talented. Asked that I not share their name. I won't even say if they're male or female, but I just wanted to give them a shout out, let them know that this is an incredible piece of artwork, and they should probably put it out on Twitter and tag the president and Flores as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You need to call them by their gender, Red Pill. No, that picture's incredible. That's very well done. Whoever you are out there, he, she, whatever, that picture's great. Absolutely keep doing it.
All right. So somebody in the chat, Sean Anon, you said something about a message, and I can't find any message from you. So I'm going to go ahead and let that one go unless you can get me something more specific.
I get that quite often, man. Hey, did you catch my DM? No, I didn't catch it all. But hey, we're very close to 5,000 people, 3,000 likes. Turn that thumb blue, please.
Please, you guys, we only need 59 people, and we have, it's fluctuating, roughly 100 people, and we get to 5,000. Please, you guys, do us a favor, share this show. We've only got, 23 minutes left. Share it on your favorite social media platform. Let's get some more people in here. I'm going to go ahead and retweet it myself, and I can't retweet it. I've already retweeted it, so... All right. I'll retweet methods.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I do at the beginning of the shows. I just go grab yours or something else. But all right, well, I can go ahead and just ask this now before we forget. Do you have any plans in the future, Scott? Or are you just, first off, what are you doing as far as a schedule is concerned so the audience knows? And we'll everybody remember in the bio, all his links are there. I'm sure the mods will drop it again because they're awesome. But what's your schedule like when it comes to your channel itself?
So right now we're doing Tuesday nights are my live streams. I do Tuesday night live streams. Thursday and Saturday I'm doing recorded episodes. But after this week, after I'm done with work, I'm going to have a ton of free time. All my days are going to be opened up. So I plan on doing keeping that same schedule, but adding in a night for a live stream just for guests. And also on my Patreon, I'm going to be bringing in a lot more guests that I cannot have on YouTube. And really making that a cheap, affordable option for people who really want to get into the information, the really deep stuff I can't talk on YouTube. If I could talk on YouTube, I wouldn't even, if the censorship was gone, I wouldn't even have a Patreon. I would love to talk about all these things in front of the biggest audience that we can, but we just can't right now. So there's certain topics that I want to just keep on different platforms until those walls come down. But hey, man, the future is bright. I don't know exactly what's going to be my future. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that I put in my week's notice, and not having a job for me personally. I've always had one. I've always hustled. I've always made money. I've always made my own way. It's just something I'm still coming to terms with. But that's what the future's holding now. But as far as there's going to be more shows, I want to do more collaborations with guys like you and anyone else out there. My main goal is to help. I want to just help people grow. Just like we all have this commonality. We want other channels to grow. If you're a small account, all I care about, if me personally, is your intentions. If your intention is to also do this and just help the movement, I want to help you. So I want people on my show. I want musicians. I want rappers. I want anybody that can contribute any kind of whatever your talents are. I want to showcase those and send people your way as well, because I keep saying, we're all in this together, and we can't stop now. Even though we have great momentum, we have to keep pushing, and we have to keep pushing for the years to come. So whatever that brings, it's going to be excellent, whatever that is. But that's where I'm looking at right now.
Right on, right on. So what do you think is going to be coming up here in the next couple of months? I mean, do you have any feelings about, things that might happen, where the country's going? Do you have any predictions that you are just keeping an eye out for? Anything you're tracking?
I'm honestly just watching attempts on, it sounds terrible, but attempts on POTUS's life. Mm-hmm. That's honestly what I know our favorite Anon said he's very well insulated, but how desperate, guys, are they going to get? You have to think about the history and how long we've been in this slavery, this matrix. They are losing that control, and they know it's coming. That time is coming very soon, and they know this election is everything. So what you got to take off the head of the snake, right? So I'm praying that does not happen, obviously, but that just keeping things real, that's where my head's at, and I hope to God that does not happen. But let's see. It's gonna get worse, right? I think we're all in agreement. Things aren't just they're gonna be okay come November. These riots are probably gonna keep going, and we all saw it with Atlanta. The riots were starting to wane off a little bit. Everybody was starting to calm down a little bit, and then we have what happened at Wendy's, and now it's reignited on the East Coast, and it's gonna happen somewhere else. And wherever it's coming to an African American, the media's gonna zoom in on it. They're gonna put it up on a pedestal, and it's just gonna keep. This is just going to keep happening till November. So I don't think things are going to get any better until November.
Right. And Blue 813 in the chat says, don't even give voice to that idea. Well, I can kind of agree with that. There's an argument of how you speak things into existence, but to Scott's, defense here, he's just chatting and speaking his mind. And to take it even further, this is why we try to live in faith, just in general. Like, we pay attention to these things, we keep them aware, but we have to live, especially during these times, having faith in our Creator, our God, to keep things comfortable, to keep people protected, patriots being where they need to be. We can obviously, a lot of people could agree that God intervened in the election that put Trump in, so why would God do that and then leave us hanging?
Right.
So that to me is, we live in faith, and what Scott's saying, and I don't mean to speak for you, but to be aware but not afraid of. And
right.
So that's just the point, is that if anything, it's just more of a focus on it. Go ahead, man.
Right. And I don't want people to think. So the thing with me, if I know a lot of your followers or your subscribers have not been on my channel, I speak my voice, and I don't hold back on my channel. You're going to get the real me. I'm not fake at all. You're going to hear what I have to say, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm a fear monger or live in fear. I don't think that's going to happen, but I also have a realistic expectation of the real world and how deep and dark it is. So for me, that's just how my mind works. I think of the worst case possible scenario. And of course, it's not something that's on my mind. It's just something that I keep in the back of my head. And, I'm always praying and meditating that's something like that wouldn't happen. But you're gonna get the real answer out of me. So if you can take it or leave it, and that's where it's at.
Scott, let me ask you a question. On Patreon, how are you going to host your videos if it's something you don't feel is appropriate for YouTube? Because this is a problem I've had. You have to have the video hosted someplace in order to put it on Patreon.
Yeah, it's something I haven't even I honestly thought about yet. The Patreon, I just started building up the Patreon a few months ago. So that's right now. I think as creators, you guys know, we cannot be naive enough to think that YouTube's just going to keep us around forever. So my main priority right now, while taking on this venture full time, is to build these other platforms as much as we possibly can, and to also, do collaborations and come together with ideas, which we're already doing, which we had that meeting with Sam Tripoli or whatever and all those guys, but we're already doing this. So as far as Patreon, it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to test it out and see what happens. I haven't done any live streams on there yet, but I'm going to just roll the dice, man. My thing is, I have complete faith in this movement. Somehow, some way, it's going to work itself out, and that's where my mind's at with all this. And there's no turning back at this point.
I just want to say, little April, slow mode is on. No one has done anything wrong. If you guys don't know, slow mode is special mode when we've got 4,000 to 5,000 people here in the chat. It makes it so you can only post once every 120 seconds. So if you try to post, it won't post it, but it will post every 120 seconds. What I tend to see is that people, they'll just keep asking, did I do something wrong, until finally it posts, and then they can't post again for another 2 minutes. So just go ahead and hold on to your ideas, and when you do go and put something in the chat, make sure it's what you want people to see, because you didn't do anything wrong. No one has done anything wrong. Nobody's holding on to either. Liz Bua says, BitChute. I cannot get anything to upload on BitChute. I don't know if it's the length of my videos. I mean, they're automatically uploading from YouTube, but my interview with Dr. Judy, I won't say her last name for fear of the YouTube gods, that one episode is the only one that I can't get to upload to BitChute. It's been processing for darn near a month now. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, man. BitChute I'm on it only because they're being cool with people like what we're doing as backup channels. Mm-hmm. I go on BitChute sometimes and upload a video. Dude, I type in woke societies in their search and it comes up no search results.
Oh, me too. Like, me too. Really? You got to have a link directly to your channel. It's the worst search engine I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. And sometimes it takes days to process a video, and it says finished. You click the finish button, and then I'll leave the computer on overnight, come back, and it's still not uploaded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've been around for a while. They got to get their stuff together, man, because they would be a great platform. And I know I was looking at the chat. DLive is something else that I'm looking at. And I know Frank from Quite Frankly, I think he hosts a lot of his stuff on DLive himself. And
he does like a lot of good multi-stream.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about DLive, so that's something I'm definitely going to check out too.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shortage of platforms. I mean, when it comes down to it, the issue really is time. I mean, like, how much time do you have to upload to 6 to 7 different things? And
takes forever, man.
And then Vespuccio says, what about Vimeo? Well, you've got like a 5 gigabyte per month limit on Vimeo. I mean, that's like basically one of my longer videos. So, I mean, so unless I want to pay several $100s a month to get the upgrade on Vimeo, I mean, it doesn't seem worth it right now.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about that. Why doesn't all of us just organize and move our work over to one platform, all promote it and all that stuff? Now, Red Pill, when you promoted DLive, you said you did it for like a week straight.
Yeah.
You really tried to promote it, try to get people to use it and all that stuff. And how many people viewed over there?
On my best stream, it was like 135 people. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get people to go to a different platform. Everybody says, go to a different platform, but where are you? You certainly haven't subscribed to me on those other platforms.
I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on BitChute.
Oh, I think I have like 25,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to watch that there?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean...
we also to me, I'm not trying to justify it, but just like how we use Twitter, it's the enemy territory. I'd rather fight this battle here the longest that we can.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like this channel, for example, got hit because I don't know how to not say a word too much, I guess. But, we need to continue to drop it here because that's where everybody else is hanging out. That's why people tell me, hey, you need to use Gab, you need to use Parler. I agree with you. I have one. I use it every once in a while. But our president is on Twitter. The people that we need to defend and retweet are on Twitter. So I'm doing it there. Same thing here with YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and use it. I mean, I've already got, because of all the promotion by all my friends here, like 6,000 some odd subscribers. And that's going to be a great start for me on that. But I imagine I'm going to go. I got a neighbor that's being a jerk down the street. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Yep, just heard
it. Welcome to the South, man. They're having fun. But I'm going to use it until they tell me no.
Yeah,
That's how I feel about it. I know that's how Red Pill feels about his channel, even though he's built this up way longer and way further than anything I'll probably do. We're going to use what we need to in these moments in time. There's a different world that's going to develop, and maybe this is a good conversation for the last 10 minutes, Red Pill. What does life look like? And I'm not trying to go ahead and say, all right, Trump's won. We've looked into the future. Somebody from the future came to the past and told us, so we know it's true. What needs to happen over the next 4 years, just in general?
Well, me personally, man, I think the mainstream media needs to be completely overhauled. That needs to start first, and then after that, I would say the censorship. If we can't get our voices out, our ideas out, then what are we? We don't exist now. The world's on the internet. So if we don't have a free internet, I don't think anything is going to be, as far as making it happen fast. I don't think that has to happen first. That's what I think.
Yeah, and to your point earlier about that, like even past the algorithms, we're still making a lot of damage.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's beautiful. Now imagine having an even playing field of what you're talking about. Like those are two major points, and I'm sure the chat can agree with that. Yeah. Having, the ability to speak freely without an algorithm doing any form of censorship outside of, calls for violence or any of that mess that we can all agree on. And dealing with the media, because that's the speaker box, that's the talking heads, it's causing all these problems. Why a red pill, why a woke society has to happen? It's because they're not doing their job. Imagine if they were just that good and already had that to where they're in airports, they're in retirement homes, they're at gas stations, they even play news there while you're pumping your gas. Imagine if they were just full-blown MAGA patriots covering the news. Would any of us have a job?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, as far as like the future, can you guys see a YouTuber running for president? I can. I'm dead serious.
Maybe someday.
YouTuber that has a huge following. Maybe one day. That's what I think. More grassroots. I think more grassroots more than anything, because even this whole Republican versus this Democrat thing, I don't know how long that will go on either. I think more grassroots, more local patriots getting together and forming movements. I think that's where the future is.
Let me do a couple of quick thank yous. I need to say thank you to, looks like a law firm might have sent me a donation. I don't want to dox them, so I won't say it. Thank you to Corey. He says, keep up the good work, guys. God bless you, Woke Society, Methods, and Red Pill. Judith says, did you see Dan Bongino retweeted Carly Q? I did not see that, but I did see that Carly was posted by our favorite
been
Anon.
blown up lately.
Yeah, she has. Emily, she says, hi, Red Pill. Sorry that YouTube demonetized your channel. Never stop doing what you're doing, please. God bless. Thank you. Appreciate that, Em. Sheila, thank you, Sheila. And then, Suki's listening. She says, my husband is listening. Red Pill away. Well, hopefully, Suki.
Hey, Suki.
Yeah, hopefully your husband heard something he liked, and maybe he'll join Discord with us.
Suki's a big friend of the channel.
Yeah,
definitely glad that she's been. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, to that point, like, we have to overhaul these things. Like the whole left versus right in general is an argument that's dividing people. Yes. I'm only going to vote down at the whole idea. Like, yeah, we want Trump to be voted for, and the down ticket, all Republican, will help in this case. But I do agree this is not another 4-year election. We cannot have that kind of divide itself. It needs to be about the ideas. It needs to be about what's better for the future. And not only that, what's better for the future during now and the circumstances that have been created by all these, I'll just say demons that have created this mess that we're living in right now. Like, we have to go phase by phase, but we have to all at least stay connected with the same goal of a better future, intertwined, keeping people honest that are going to cover news and all that stuff. And, we need to have that. And it's taking people like y'all's channels to take to, online and say, all right, well, they're not doing it right, so I'm going to do it, right, the best at my ability. And that's all we can ask of you guys. Like, we get held with our feet to the fire on covering stuff. I had people questioning me about the LARP tweet that I did earlier, saying that it was a combat training for Chaz, when I was using a clip that was famous 10 years ago as a joke. And people were wondering if it was true or not. I'm just joking around, but I can understand the point with it. It is what it is. I'm still going to have fun because, once again, I'm always going to use my platform the way I want to, and that's how it needs to be. The policing each other. If you are doing something in general that you can see the other side, I'll say other side loosely, but like policing each other on their words and all that stuff, just step back and be like, wait a second, this person doesn't think that way. Maybe they mean something else in general. But we do need to create a future for all of us. These kids, because Scott, you've got a kid, right?
Yeah, man, my 2.5 years old.
Right? There's a future there in the making that's going to live past you.
Well, absolutely.
Right. And so you're fighting now to create that. And the same thing goes for Red Pill here and many people listening tonight. That life in that future is being built on the backs of everything that we're doing now. And to me, that's the most admirable, honorable thing we can do.
Awesome. That's the one thing too. I just want to say, man, my wife, she's in no one sees any of this. And you guys can tell if you watch any of my earlier videos, you'll hear my son smashing blocks, running around. We're in a small apartment. I have a makeshift studio, but it works. I love it. It's my space, but we have one bedroom, and just my wife has been the rock for me as far as watching him and giving me that time and space, because as you Methods, your wife, she works, right? This isn't being done by ourselves, and there's sacrifice going on for us to put in the time to do these things. So I don't know if she's still watching, but a huge shout out to my wife for helping me, because she is a big part of this, and she is one of the biggest reasons why I even became woke in general. And I just wanted to put it out there. But yeah, man, my son is probably the biggest motivation out of any of this, because I look at him and I know we plan on homeschooling him, and just knowing that he is going to be growing up not in the matrix. There is going to be zero indoctrination in that child growing up, and that is the generation that I want to pass on. And whoever he comes into contact with, because the kids are the future right now. And what do you see on the news right now, guys? It's all young, mostly these young kids, these Antifa kids running the streets. Mm-hmm. Those are the kids that we need to really connect with. But just having my own son, this is something that if he ever wants to do it, I could pass this down onto him. But he's going to have that unindoctrinated mind. And that, to me, that means the world.
That's an incredible thing. To that point, unfortunately, this generation of kids has essentially been destroyed. I mean, they are the most indoctrinated generation of all time, because they have instant access to these kids. I mean, whether it's with their phone or with any number of other screens that are around them at all times. What really shocked me was the graduating class at West Point that wrote the letter basically condemning President Trump for his actions or for his perceived actions. And I think that in light of the fact that President Trump was speaking their commencement, it was all the more offensive. And we know that for many years, I think that their goal has been to place people more overtly into these positions of power. I think it was just a couple of years ago, there was a graduate of West Point who was like a member of Antifa, a socialist, who had specifically gone to West Point, graduated, and the whole point was to get into the U.S. Army or whatever branch of the services it was, so that he could subvert it and destroy America. And I think that we're going to have to keep our eyes out on this, because this is a huge issue. So by keeping your son at home, homeschooling him, taking him out of that system, that is probably the greatest gift that you can give him, Scott. So that's awesome.
For sure, man. And just think about it. I can't imagine me being a younger kid, knowing all this information that I'll pass down to him, and him going into an environment of completely red pilled people. Like you said, if our president wasn't our president, it would probably be dangerous for us to walk down the streets. And that's certainly not something I want for anyone's future or anyone's kids. So that to me is what it's all about.
Methods, are you ever going to have kids?
Why are you going to put me on the spot? The show's been great. Having a lot of fun here. I've had that question asked me behind the scenes 100 times, and anytime I say we don't plan on it, I get a nice lecture about how I need to help with that. But no, I've got 2 cats. We love them. They're great. They don't meow when we're doing live shows.
I know. I'm jealous. I'm really jealous.
But yeah, I mean, to me, regardless, though, I consider everybody a family in this movement. This sounds cheesy, but the future for everybody's collective children alone is worth the fight.
Sure.
And what we do and all that stuff. So yeah, no, I'm excited for a future of people like Red Pill, like Scott, handing down the information that we're working on and the platforms that they're creating to the next generation and the next generation. And hopefully we can at least, spin things back around and go in the direction that it needs to.
For sure. And I believe we're that bridge, guys. I really do believe, because imagine knowing all the knowledge that we know now given to a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, already knowing that information and then growing up knowing, being in that world. It's just, it just makes me so motivated and encouraged to know that we're on the right track. And I think we really diverted with Trump winning in 2016, the end of our world. I really believe that.
We dodged a major bullet. Well, listen, guys, it's 9 o'clock. Scott, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Everybody who's here in the audience, thanks for joining us as well. Make sure that you go and follow all of Scott's links in the description of this video. Scott, I want to give you the last word, buddy. What do you want people to see? No.
Sure, guys. Yeah, just check out the YouTube. Check out all my links and stuff. Again, I'm on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as of now, but I'm going to expand that now that I'm going to have time. After this week, it's going to take me a few weeks to get some things together, get my life in order. But I just wanted to say thank you, Methods. Thank you, Red Pill, for having me on the show. It's still surreal that I'm even here. 2 years ago, I was making fun of guys like you and trashing you guys on social media, and look what happened. So it's just surreal that I'm even here, and I just want to thank you both for inviting me into your circle, the family that I've made. I found my tribe. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for all of us. And thank you guys for out there in the chat. You guys are great.
All right. Amen. You guys, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I appreciate it, Scott. It was awesome. We're looking forward to having you back. Methods, as always, it's great being here with you, buddy. And to the point about Red Pill Dads, you guys, it is up to us to make sure that the next generation is not completely brainwashed. So if you are thinking about having kids, then make sure you do, and make sure you pass on your values to them. Good luck, everyone.